Thank you all for being here. My name is Bill Campbell, and on behalf of President Lee Bollinger, who unfortunately is unable to make it tonight, Dean Jim Valentini, we welcome you all to annual John Jay Award dinner. The trustees are enormously supportive of this, and they welcome you as well. I would like to, if I can, to acknowledge the trustees of the university that are present. Judge Rolando Acosta, Judge Lisa Carnoy, Lisa. Judge Joe Greenaway, Joe. Paul Madden, who's up here. There we go. Mike Rothfeld, who's receiving tomorrow the #1 award of the Community Impact Program. Michael. Jonathan Schiller, Jonathan. And George Van Amsen, George. Where'd he go? I know he's here. So I know we have a lot of former John Jay Award winners here, and too many to recognize individually. So I would hope that all of you would stand and be recognized. Former John Jay Award winners, please. These are awards for members of the Columbia family for distinguished professional achievement. It's a phenomenal award, and the people that receive these rightfully feel wonderful about them and really appreciate your support of them. It also raises a lot of money for the College Fund Program. This year we have a very, very special group of honorees. Unfortunately, one of them, a good friend of mine, former Apple and Google employee Kai-Fu Lee, who lives in Beijing, is severely ill and unable to get on a plane, was unable to make it. We'll honor him next year. But I just want to say to all of you, thank you very much for your generosity, your warmth, and we want to welcome you. I want you to know that through the generosity of so many of you, we have raised $1.4 million. So now I'm going to turn this over to Kara Tarana Barry. She is the president of the Columbia College Alumni Association. She does so much for all of us. Turn it over to her. Kara.
Thank you, Bill. It is my pleasure to bring greetings on behalf of the Columbia College Alumni Association. This evening marks the 35th John Jay Awards for Distinguished Professional Accomplishment, and tonight is the culmination of nearly a year of work, beginning with the Association's Selection Committee reviewing literally hundreds of amazing Columbians before reaching a consensus on the 2013 John Jay awardees. We could not be prouder of any group of college alumni than this distinguished group to be honored this evening. I would also like to thank everyone for their support of the dinner. It is a great tribute to this year's honorees and to the many Columbia College students supported through the John Jay National Scholarship Program. Again, thank you all for your support. I want to especially acknowledge our Platinum and Gold Crown supporters. Our Platinum supporters, Sidley Austin, Bill Campbell, Nancy and Thomas W. Cornacchia, Jeannie and Jonathan S. Levine, Diana and P. Roy Vagelos, and George Yancopoulos. Again, thank you very much. Our Gold Crown supporters, Michael Schmidtberger and Margie Sung, Charles Santora, and Sidley Austin, Investment Funds, Advisors, and Derivatives Group. Again, thank you for your leadership support. It means a lot. Finally, I want to introduce fellow dinner chairs who worked tirelessly on behalf of our honorees in the dinner. Joseph A. Cabrera, Brian C. Crisberg, Charles W. Santoro, and our next speaker, University Trustee Paul Madden. Again, thank you.
Thank you, Kira, and good evening, everyone. The John Jay Scholars Program is an award program designed to honor the most outstanding first-year students entering Columbia College. The John Jay Scholars distinguish themselves through the originality and independence of their thinking and their rich and varied records of accomplishment. This special academic enhancement program at Columbia is designed to promote three goals: intellectual growth, leadership development, and global awareness. This evening, there is a number of our class of 2013 John Jay Scholarship Scholars, and I want to be the first of many to acknowledge them this evening and ask them to stand now. And now it's my privilege to introduce one of these exceptional young people. Wilfred Chan is a senior John Jay Scholar at Columbia College. He is a political science major from Seattle, Washington. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Wilfred.
Thank you, Dr. Madden, for the introduction and for all that you do for this university. Thank you, Dean Valentini, for giving me the honor of representing the John Jay Scholars. And good evening to all our distinguished guests. My name is Wilfred, and I wasn't always a good scholar. Well, you see, when I was a freshman, I didn't have such a good time. I was depressed. I was unsure of everything and participated in nothing. That includes the John Jay Scholars Program. Every time I got an event announcement from Dean Lavinia Lorch, I'd hit delete, which of course I trust no one in here has ever done. Lavinia called me into her office. I knew I was in trouble. "You missed too many events," she said. "Being a scholar is a privilege. Your punishment is to go enjoy the Guggenheim Museum this weekend and tell me what you think of it." As I wandered the gallery and stared at the paintings, I realized the Scholars Program doesn't want to make me feel bad. They just want me to grow. So I began coming to events. I realized that the Scholars Program was like a parallel core curriculum where we just got to think about life. I was exposed to astrophysicists who showed me the promises of science, filmmakers who challenged my conceptions of what storytelling meant. But my favorite was this talk by Dr. Owen Lewis, a professor of psychiatry, about the power of saying yes. He told us, if you're more than 51% sure about an opportunity in life, say yes. Because when we say yes, when we seize moments in spite of our doubts, we place ourselves into a cosmic flow that allows things to actually start happening. So I started saying yes. And sure enough, things started happening. The Scholars Program offered me a summer enhancement fellowship. I said yes. It funded an internship in DC where I researched US-China policy for members of Congress. And the year after that, the Scholars Program funded me to travel to Beijing, where I worked for an education startup helping Chinese kids apply to American schools like Columbia. These experiences changed my life. Because of the Scholars Program, I finally began to understand how my Columbia education related to the real world. But I still had questions. On campus, I tried writing for the newspaper, but didn't really like it. I ran for student council, but I lost. I wondered, where do I belong? Am I ever going to be a leader? I found inspiration within the scholars community. I started realizing there was this tremendous diversity in the meaning of leadership, not just in the speakers that came to our events, but in the amazing fellow scholars all around me, scientists, activists, writers, or people who were just happy to have no idea, all sort of figuring out their own paths, all defining leadership in a way that was personal to them. Dean Lavinia Lorch, she'd reassure me, "Never doubt yourself," she'd say. "Don't live other people's lives. Enjoy being you. You don't need a mic and a podium right away. There are softer, subtler, more special ways to have an influence." So I decided to just do me. In the fall of my junior year, I took a chance and wrote a magazine article about my struggles at Columbia. I talked about freshman year, feeling lost, overwhelmed, depressed. I pointed to studies that showed that I was not alone, that many students suffer intense stress at Columbia. So I asked our community to come together, to be compassionate, to care for one another, and to fight for a campus where students can get the mental health resources that they need to be well. The article took off. I watched as the hits piled up, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, and the emails flooded in. "Thank you. You touched me. Can I help? Can I get involved?" So I said yes. And that's how I became the leader of the Columbia University Student Wellness Project. The idea is simple. We're a group of students, including a few scholars in this very room, who want to give to the campus by improving student well-being. Today, our movement is still growing, and I've finally found my voice. This wouldn't have happened without the support of the Scholars Program and mentors like Lavinia. One day I asked her, "How do you keep this program going? How do you find the strength to be advisors, managers, and educators all at the same time? How do you give us so much?" She said, "We don't do this out of a sense of duty. We do it because it feels good." I realized then, being a good scholar didn't mean just going to the most events or doing the coolest projects. It meant engaging with the community around me, finding out what was truly meaningful to me, what felt good, saying yes to it, and then giving back. So that's what I'm here to do tonight. Since I finally have that mic and the podium, I just want to say thank you, Lavinia. Thank you, Scholars Program. Thank you to the benefactors who support the Scholars Program with your continued generosity. And thank you, Columbia. You have helped me find my way.
Thank you all. The program will continue after dinner.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join us at the stage, Ryan Mandelbaum.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much for having me. My name is Ryan Mandelbaum, and I am a physics and math major and the senior class president at Columbia College. And thank you. It is my honor to introduce the president of Columbia University, Lee C. Bollinger.
Thank you very much, Ryan, for that introduction. I very much appreciate it. I'm sorry to miss my first John Jay Awards dinner in 11 years. And I really want to congratulate the awardees. It's always a special evening for everyone, but to hear the accomplishments of the graduates of the college is always a fantastic event. I want to say also that Jim Valentini has done such a fine job with the deanship of the college, and recognizing him is important. I always try to use this occasion to say a few things about the university. And what I'd like to note this year is that we have now up and running 8 global centers for the first time. And these are in Paris, Istanbul, Amman, Nairobi, Mumbai, Beijing, Santiago, and Rio. And already we have students in classes going to these various centers and learning about global issues. And Jim Valentini will be working on a program to help more and more students take advantage of this new infrastructure of Columbia in order to grapple with and deal with global issues that will define the 21st century, of course, and the lives of our students. So again, my gratitude to everybody for this dinner, for the support of the college and the university, and to the awardees. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Karishma Habu. I am a senior in Columbia College and president of the Columbia College student body. It is a great honor to be here this evening and an even bigger honor to introduce the Dean of Columbia College, Dean Valentini, also known very lovingly by students as Dean Teeny.
Good evening, and welcome to one of the happiest nights of the year in the college calendar, where we honor our most accomplished graduates. In thinking about this evening, I began thinking about Niels Bohr. That's B-O-H-R, not B-O-R-E. Bohr was a Danish physicist and one of the founders of the field of quantum mechanics. He won the Nobel Prize in 1922. But also, like three of our honorees tonight, he was a scholar athlete. He was a football, that is soccer fanatic, and he played keeper on Akademisk Boldklub when he was in Copenhagen. And three of our awardees tonight are scholar athletes, and in honor of two of them, I am wearing a lapel pin of the cross doors of the King's Crown Rowing Association. Even though, as I told Tom Cornacchia some time ago when he invited me to give an address at the banquet, that I don't like the water and I don't feel comfortable in boats. However, Mike Zimmer gave me this pin when I admired it on his lapel once, and I wear it on special occasions like this. The reason I was thinking about Niels Bohr was not about quantum mechanics or about physics. It was because of something he said that's been repeated many times, and the quote attributed to lots of people. That means that it must be an interesting and important quote. Bohr said, "Making predictions is difficult, especially about the future." Now, I think he was referring to theoretical science, in which people are quite able to accurately predict things that we already know, that already have happened, but predicting things that haven't happened is difficult. But it applies to life as well, and that's why it's become such a commonly requoted quote. And Bohr himself certainly had experience with this in both the domain of joy and sadness. Bohr had 6 sons, one of whom went on to win the Nobel Prize himself in 1975. One became an Olympic athlete. One was a physician, one was a chemical engineer, one a lawyer. But one of them died as a child in a boating accident, and one of them died of childhood meningitis. Yes, making predictions is difficult. Would we have predicted, when they were college students, that our 4 awardees tonight would stand here today as John Jay awardees? 4 young people from New Rochelle, New York, Memphis, Tennessee, Schoolies Mountain, New Jersey. Yes, in New Jersey, we have names like that. And Queens, New York. We can't predict which of our current Columbia students will be recognized in the future as John Jay awardees, recognized for their accomplishments as John Jay awardees in the future. However, we do have people in the audience tonight who are very good at making predictions about the future when it involves students. 3 people in particular. These are the people who admit students to Columbia College. One of them is Jim McMenamin, who, in one of his previous 11 careers, was the Dean of Admissions at Columbia College and admitted many of the people sitting in this room tonight, and admitted, thank you. And he has admitted quite a few previous John Jay Award winners, though none, as chance would have it, tonight. The other 2 people, are Jessica Marinaccio. Jessica, would you stand up, please? And Joanna May. Jessica and Joanna are in the busiest time of their year, reviewing applications for admission to Columbia College. And it is they who have admitted all of the John Jay Scholars, all of the students who are present tonight. It is they who select the students whom, as I say, we believe are best able to profit from and contribute to the special experience of being in Columbia College. It is they who make the college possible. And I should add, since Karishma made reference to my nickname, that the students have a nickname for Jessica, too, which is Dean Maraschino. Though that's not the correct Italian pronunciation. Yes, I know, but that's how the students say it, so that's how I'm going to say it. While we can't predict, in particular, which of the students here tonight will someday stand on this stage as John Jay awardees, we can predict, we can know, that all of the students here will lead lives of accomplishment and contributions to their professions, their communities, their families. That is the goal we have for them when we have them for the 4 years that they're in Columbia College. Your support of Columbia College, and especially tonight of the John Jay Scholars Program by your attendance at this event, ensures that we can continue to provide the world's greatest education to our current students and generations of students to come. Offering that education is what we do, and what the dean does is sign diplomas at the end of each year, but the education is actually provided by the faculty. There are quite a few faculty here tonight, so I would like them to stand. I would like you to acknowledge the faculty of Columbia College who make students' lives successful. And now we're going to take a little break from these preliminaries and get to the main event very soon, which is the part of the evening you're all waiting for, which is the actual award of the John Jay Awards. Thank you very much. Enjoy your dessert.
Ladies and gentlemen, Charles W. Santoro.
Okay. Thank you, and thanks again to all the Columbia alumni, students, faculty, staff, and other Columbia supporters who helped bring together this great venue. It really is a beautiful evening for all of us in every way. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now that part of the evening we've all been waiting for. My name is Charles Santoro, Columbia College class of '82, a dinner chair for this evening's event, and a past recipient of the John Jay Award. I am also a classmate and teammate of 3 of this evening's honorees. And just earlier tonight, I was thinking, who would ever have thought when we were Columbia College students all those years ago that someday we'd be gathered in a setting as magnificent as this? In any event, I can tell you from personal experience that this award ceremony is something that this evening's honorees will always count among their most cherished memories. And for this reason, I would kindly ask that you all please remain seated for the entire program. Thank you. And now, without further delay, let us commence the 2013 John Jay Awards presentation.
Good evening. My name is Brian Terrazas, and I'm a senior at Columbia College. I'm an astrophysics major from Springfield, Virginia, and I'm honored to introduce Thomas Cornacchia. Thomas, your years of outstanding leadership and extensive knowledge in the financial sector have made you an unparalleled force. Since joining the firm in 2002, you have led Goldman Sachs to new levels of success as a managing director. As head of FICC sales, you oversee fixed income, currencies, and commodities in the Americas, and also coordinate the firm's commodities sales on a global level. Your accomplishments are no surprise to those who knew you at Columbia College. In addition to excelling academically, you stood out on the crew, earning letters 4 years on the heavyweight rowing program. A recipient of the William B. Sanford Award in 1984, you also helped lead your varsity crew to Henley for the first time since 1929. You are a member of the Columbia College Board of Visitors and the Columbia College Alumni Association Strategic Planning Task Force. Not only have you established the Thomas and Nancy Cornacchia Family Scholarship Fund, you have also dedicated a rowing endowment that has changed the program. Your leadership gift supports and improves the program for current and future student athletes. At the 2012 Rowing Banquet, you were presented the King's Crown Rowing Association Alumni Award for achievement and service to the program. You also established a research grant at the Center for Lymphoid Malignancies at the Columbia University Medical School to advance research for lymphoma under Owen O'Connor, M.D., Ph.D. Your dedication to Columbia is only exceeded by your devotion to your wife, Nancy, and children, Thomas, Alexandra, Julia, Victoria, and William, class of 2017. In recognition of your ongoing professional success and your never-ending devotion to the college, Columbia is honored to present you with a 2013 John Jay Award for Distinguished Professional Achievement.
I stand here tonight humbled and truly grateful for this recognition. But I'm particularly grateful for the moment of reflection that this recognition and this honor has caused me. I think about the term professional accomplishment, and I think about what it means. And I've thought about this since the phone call I got back in November when I was told that I was going to receive this award. And it's a reaffirmation. This is not something that dawned on me as new, but it was a reaffirmation as I thought and reflected that accomplishment, whether professional or personal, are all about the people that are part of my life. It's the people that I have been fortunate enough to be connected to throughout my life, who have shaped me, who have influenced me, who have supported me, and who have provided encouragement. It starts with my parents, who I am fortunate enough to have here tonight, both my dad and my mom. You see, I grew up in an Italian household where family mattered most. And family and education were the two prized teachings that my parents enforced on myself and my three brothers. They taught us that family was a place where you find safety. Family was a place where you found encouragement. Family was a place where, when you had that moment of doubt, that moment of confusion, you could go back and you can be reassured. They also were savvy enough to understand at a very early age that family was not just about the members of your household, but it was about your friends. It was about the people in your life, the extension of your family. They knew at an early age for myself, when I was in Catholic school, in parochial school, in private school, that the education that I was receiving in a private school was not good enough because it was a bit too homogeneous. to put me into public school in my middle school and my high school experience so that I was able to learn amongst multiple cultures and backgrounds, people from all walks of life, was part of the education process. And it wasn't just about textbook learning and academic performance, although that was important. It was also about learning from people, and people who can influence you and people who can shape who you are as you develop through life. So for that, I am eternally grateful to both of my parents. Now, I have a confession to make. When it came to coming to Columbia, I have two older brothers who I'm also blessed by having here tonight, who were attending Columbia when I was a senior in college. And it was my opinion as a senior in high school that I wanted to go a different direction. I wanted to attend one of those schools in Boston. But my father wouldn't hear of it. My father had the foresight to know. My father, a graduate of Manhattan College, not a graduate of Columbia. He knew the value of an education at Columbia University, in one of the best cities in the world, how diverse the culture was, how much I would learn by just being amongst the people within that environment, as well as having a tremendous faculty that I could learn through the academics, the core curriculum that would shape my opinion making, my decision making. He knew that value, and he cut a deal with me. He said, if you apply early decision and you don't get in, I'll leave you alone. Best decision of my life. It changed my life. You see, when I went to Columbia, I became part of another family, an extended family, one that exists today. I was introduced to the rowing community. People who are my best friends, they will be for the rest of my life. People who are by my side whenever I need them. The extended family of Columbia and the college is always there. It's always a center point. When things get confusing and they get crazy, it's a safety net. You go back and you reconcile. And there are people there that you can talk to, and people who can reconcile the confusion. And you see, it was at Columbia, lots of things came my way. It was at Columbia that I studied biology and psychology, double major. I thought I would go into the medical field. But like most students at that age, you're not quite sure what you're going to do with the next 60 years of your life. And it was during my senior year that by happenstance, I bumped into a friend who had graduated a year ahead of me, who was on the rowing team. And he was in the financial world. And we decided to go out to dinner because I wanted to learn all about what he was doing. And within 4 months' time, I had an entry-level job at Citibank. And the greatest part of being able to switch gears, having a major in an area of study that I was interested and passionate about, but being given what I call the universal or plural education through the core curriculum and through the other courses that Columbia offers, it gives you a grounding where you can do anything that you want. It's Columbia who taught me what individualism was. It taught me that you need to understand what your strengths and what your weaknesses are. You need to pursue your strengths. These are qualities that I try to impress upon the younger generations in my workplace today. And when I think about the path that Columbia, and through its connectivity of the Columbia family, had allowed me to travel, it led me to Citibank, a place where I found my wife, the love of my life, my rock, the person who is there for me when I am unsure of myself, the person who has taught me what sacrifice means. We have 5 children at home. She suspended her career to take care and raise our 5 children, my oldest of which is here tonight, class of 17. He's sitting next to his cousin, who's the class of 15, my nephew. So I had the benefit of the very first time of sitting at a table tonight with two brothers who went to Columbia and two of our offspring who are at Columbia or going to Columbia. It's a delightful evening. So then I say, where's that taken me? It's taken me into the financial world. It's taken me to this place that I work out today. This place that has a lot of similar qualities that I found in my home, my family, at my extended family at Columbia. It's a place that has people who pursue excellence. It's a place that has people who take a lot of pride in what they do. It's a place that has people who are very supportive of each other. And it's a place that has people who will be friends of mine for the rest of my life. So for that, I am grateful as well. So family, it all comes back to family. And every point in my life, which is what my parents had taught me from day one, that when you're unsure of yourself and you're in this uncharted world with all these different things happening, balance yourself, get back to your safety net, wherever that might be, your family, and you'll be able to reconcile and you'll be able to understand and reconcile the issues. So without taking much more time here, I just want to talk about Columbia. It's a phenomenal institution. We all know that. We're here tonight. It's an institution that I feel I owe a debt to. It's an institution that has established me in my adult life. It's an institution that needs to have a continuum. It needs to exist for the next generations. See, I believe that Columbia is not only a great institution, but I believe that Columbia makes the world a better place. And for that, I will always be indebted, and for that, I will always look to return the favor. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ethan Kogan, and I'm a senior at Columbia College. I'm an anthropology major from Wilmette, Illinois, and I'm honored to introduce to you Katori Hall. Your revelatory work as a dramatist promises to forever change the face of theater history. You've earned praise for your lyrical writing as well as your honest exploration of social issues. After opening to wide acclaim in London, The Mountaintop earned the 2010 Olivier Award for Best New Play, making you the first African American and fourth woman to receive the honor. The play garnered attention for your humanizing portrayal of Martin Luther King Jr. the evening before his assassination, and it is currently being produced in theaters across the country. Your subsequent production of Hurt Village at New York's Signature Theater earned the 2011 Susan Smith Blackburn Prize and a 2011 Edgerton Foundation New American Play Award. The play has also been named a finalist for the first Edward M. Kennedy Prize for Drama, inspired by American history. In addition to your plays, you have made a name for yourself as a journalist. Your keen sense of storytelling was evident during your time at the college. Attending on a full scholarship after moving from your hometown of Memphis, you majored in African American Studies while concentrating on creative writing, and during your senior year, beginning Hoodoo Love, your off-Broadway debut, which premiered in 2007 at the Cherry Lane Theater. You honed your journalistic skills while working for Spectator. Already active in the theater, Already active in the theater, you simultaneously studied at the Harlem School of the Arts and performed with the Classical Theater of Harlem. After graduating from Columbia, you earned an MFA in acting from the American Repertory Theater Institute and graduated from Juilliard's Leela Acheson-Wallace playwriting program. Your extensive awards include 2 Lecomte de Neuilly prizes from Lincoln Center and Columbia's IAL Diamond Award. In recognition of your exceptional achievements in the performing arts and insightful exploration of significant cultural issues, Columbia is honored to present you with a 2013 John Jay Award for Distinguished Professional Achievement.
So when I got the email, it was a very interesting thing that happened. I was like, oh my goodness, did I turn in those library books? Did I pay back that emergency loan that I took out my junior year? Columbia is out to get me. So I opened up the email, and it was one of the most beautiful emails that I had read last year, and it was telling me that I had won this amazing award, the John Jay Award, that I would be honored with these amazing people, and I was just floored. I was like, I am too young to get this. They need to wait some years. Like, why are they giving this to me now? And I just want to thank the selection committee for thinking of me and honoring me, because this is so, so important to me, because Columbia University is the place that changed my life forever. I met the most amazing people at Columbia University. I met my New York family. You see, I'm from Memphis, Tennessee, and family is very important to me. And with all my southernness and my slowness of speech, which has kind of disappeared over the years, I found people who embraced my uniqueness. And I'm so proud that I have been able to continue cultivating relationships with them, because each and every single one of them, the most important people to me who were at Columbia, are actually here tonight. So I cannot not take this moment to thank each and every one of you. I have to thank Professor Flint, who was my first playwriting professor. He was the one who actually told me that, yeah, girl, you can write. Go forth into the world, spread your seeds, spread your words. I have to thank Professor Farrah Griffith, who exposed me to so many other writers that I never would have known about. You were just an amazing example. I was a young black woman moving up from the South, and I just saw you standing up in front of people and expressing such intellectual thoughts and invigorating us. Thank you so much for being the best professor of African American literature that I could ever have. And at this moment, I have to thank the woman who admitted me. People often mistake her for my mother. She looks a lot like me, or rather, I look a lot like her. Miss Teresa Williams. I have slept on Teresa's couch. I have cried on her shoulder. I have asked her so many questions about life, and she has asked me many questions about what I wanted to do with my life. Those questions, those conversations planted a seed in me that allowed me to start building this foundation that I was finally able to step upon and step out into the world once I graduated from Columbia. So thank you so much, Teresa. Now I have to move on to the Buku friends. Now, these are the best friends that any girl could ever have. I met them the summer before Columbia University actually started, because we got into the university through the National Opportunity Program. Some NOPs out there, some NOPs? Marva C. Brown, my best friend to the end. She knows things about me that I wish she didn't know. She's gonna bribe me one day, but no, she's such a wonderful friend that I don't think she would ever do that. You are just an amazing support to me, and I just wouldn't be standing here today without all the conversations that we've had and just all your love and support. I have to move on to my dear friend, Anthony Facian. Thank you. You are just as equal to Marva in my eyes. You have embraced me. See, he's a fellow Southerner, so he know how hard it was to move up from there, up here, and to learn that subway system. And I actually remember we rode the subway for the very first time together. And you are just a part of my family, my Columbia family, that really upheld me and still holds me up. You know, you come to everything that I do, and I just really appreciate you for that. And then my girl, Dawn Jackson. She used to be Dawn Zimniak, but now she's Dawn Jackson because she got married. You are such a beautiful, beautiful woman. I adore you. I appreciate your openness, your honesty. You have definitely rounded out my Columbia family. But then the thing about Columbia is that it teaches you how to be open and be in the world and to bring people into your family beyond those black gates. And so I have new best friends, Niala Ali, my dear friend who is actually a wonderful actress who has performed in many, many of my plays. And then my dear, dear best friend, Alan Tumusime, who's now my husband. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Alan, for listening to me, for supporting me, for allowing me to be mad and be angry, but also to just be myself. You know, Columbia taught me to be open, and I don't think I would have fell in love with you the way that I did if I hadn't been primed by this wonderful university to just see the world and see all different kinds of people with very open and soft eyes. So a lot of people always ask me, like, how in the hell did you become a playwright? Did you know you were going to be a playwright at Columbia University? And I have to tell you guys, I did not. You never know what you're going to be. You sometimes have an inkling, but oftentimes it's something that happens. And this moment of crystallization actually happened at Columbia University for me. I was actually an actress, and I was taking a class with the wonderful Becky Guy, and she had assigned this assignment, and we were supposed to go to the library with our scene partner and choose a scene that was for our type. Now, my scene partner, Kelly McCreary, was also a young African-American woman, and we were like, okay, we're gonna go to the library, and we're gonna pull down some plays, and we're gonna find a play that has a scene for our type, 2 young black women. We go to the library. Now, Columbia, y'all gotta work on the drama section. We go to the library, and we're pulling down books, we're pulling down plays, and we're like, oh, let's look at The Raising the Sun. You know what? I'm not old enough to play Mama. You can play Benita, but we ain't gonna do this scene. We pulled down The Crucible. We were like, we can't really play Tituba at the same time, so we're gonna have to put this one aside too. We were having problems finding a play for 2 young black women that had a scene for 2 young black women. So we go back to our professor. Professor Guy, do you have some suggestions for us? Do you know of a play that has a scene for 2 young black women? 10 seconds went by. 20 seconds went by, 45 seconds went by, and my professor could not think of a play that had a scene for 2 young black women. In that moment, I said to myself, I guess I have to write those plays then. Columbia made me a fighter. Columbia made me a dreamer. From the outside, from the margins, I decided that I wanted to write myself into existence. Writing myself into existence was the biggest gift that Columbia University gave me. It made me believe that I could do it, that I deserved to be on that campus, and I deserved to be a part of the canon. These are lessons that they seem very, very small when they happen in the moment. But John Jay Scholars, you have to take these moments and allow them to feed your dream. I was recently in Egypt and I was looking at the pyramids and I was like, what is going to be my pyramid? What am I going to leave behind? What am I going to do for the next 30 years, because that's supposedly how long it took them to build those doggone pyramids. What am I going to do day by day, brick by brick, foundation by foundation? What am I going to lay down in this lifetime to leave behind something that may stand the test of time? This is a challenge that I give out to you, you John Jay Scholars. This is an amazing place, an amazing institution. Allow it to be the foundation so that you can build your own pyramids. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ariana Lott, and I am a senior at Columbia College. I am a biology and dance major from Los Angeles, California, and I am honored to introduce Mike Schmidtberger. As a partner at Sidley Austin LLP, a global law firm with offices in 18 cities around the world and more than 1,700 lawyers, you are a global co-head of the asset management practice and managing partner of the New York office. Your tireless work on behalf of your clients has earned you a praise in your industry, as well as top-tier status in prestigious legal publications. Your group has received numerous awards, including Team of the Year from Chambers in 2008. You began your career at Cadwalader, Wickersham, and Taft, and joined Sidley's New York office in 1990, becoming partner in 1993. In May 2001, after the firm merged with Brown & Wood, you moved with a small group of Sidley lawyers to the World Trade Center to consummate the merger. Your office was in Tower 1 and lost on 9/11. In January 2002, you were elevated to Sidley's executive committee, and in 2008 to the management committee. Your leadership abilities were evident during your time at Columbia College, as a JV basketball player, as co-founder and editor-in-chief of the Columbia Guide to New York, and when elected to the University Senate, where you cast your vote as the student representative at the Executive Committee's historic meeting in winter 1981, at which the decision to admit women to the college was made. A cum laude graduate, a member of Phi Beta Kappa, and recipient of the Bennett Cerf Memorial Prize for Critical Writing, you went on to the law school, where you served as editor-in-chief of the Columbia Human Rights Law Review. You are a recent member and secretary of the Columbia College Alumni Association Board of Directors. You are active in our community, serving on the board of directors of the United Way of New York City. With Margaret Sung, whom you married in St. Paul's Chapel in 1995, you are devoted to daughters Kaylee and Molly. In recognition of your ongoing excellence in the field of law, Columbia is honored to present you with the 2013 John Jay Award for Distinguished Professional Achievement.
Thank you, Ariana. We've heard tonight that the students we are supporting are truly the best of the best, and you certainly are. Members of the Board of Trustees, Dean Tini, esteemed faculty, colleagues, and friends of Columbia, I'm honored and humbled to be in the company of my fellow awardees and to accept this award. I got the call informing me that I would receive the John Jay Award from my good friend Brian Chrisberg while Margie and I were driving with our girls. They are 12 and 10 and immediately started asking questions from the back seat of our car. And trust me, these were among the more benign questions ever to come from the back seat of our car. Margie explained that the award was to fund scholarships at Columbia and that their dad had gone to Columbia on a scholarship, but not a J. The next question that came was, why did he get a scholarship? Was Dad a great athlete? Margie diplomatically said, he was okay. Was Dad the smartest kid in his high school class? No hesitation. No, he was not. From the back seat, a quieter voice asked, so he was poor? Margie hesitated and replied, no. Papa and Grandma did all right, but there were 6 kids, and your papa and your dad needed help to pay for college. The scholarship allowed Dad to go to school where he wanted, even though it cost more than his family could afford. As Margie made clear to our kids, I did not grow up hard. I was born in New York City at Columbia Presbyterian. I grew up on Schooley's Mountain in western New Jersey, where my family moved from Brooklyn when I was a toddler. We were squarely in the middle class, the children of academics. My father and mother, both the children of immigrants, did grow up hard. My father on a wheat farm in Kansas, and my mother, losing her father at a very young age, was raised in Brooklyn by her mother and 2 spinster aunts. I got to Columbia by way of the Phillips Exeter Academy, receiving substantial financial aid from Exeter. And when it came time to meet with Exeter's director of college placement, I presented myself at his office, and he was reading a folder on me. There were no preliminaries. He suggested a wonderful school in the middle of nowhere. I was caught off guard. I responded, I've thought about this. Nothing ever happened where I grew up, and nothing happens in Exeter, New Hampshire. I want to be in New York City where things happen. I'd like to go to Columbia. He essentially said, suit yourself. And just like that, my interview was over. But I knew where I wanted to be, and I knew about need-blind admissions at Columbia. The money would be there if I got in. What more did I need to know? Well, arriving on the Upper West Side, I met my new roommate. And after our parents left, he turned to me and he asked, so why did you apply to an all-male college? I was stunned. I left the dorm room, I went down College Walk, and looked across Broadway at Barnard, just to make sure it was there. Of course, as you've heard, things worked out very well for me indeed at Columbia College in the city of New York. And I will conclude with some very specific thanks. First of all, thank you to each and every one of you for supporting scholarship at Columbia. To Bill Campbell and the Board of Trustees for your leadership and your generosity. I know something about assets and their management. I know of no other asset that has appreciated more than a Columbia degree. Simply put, leadership matters. to the faculty who are extraordinary in their devotion to undergraduate teaching. I would be remiss if I did not note the passing of Professor Carl Ludwig Selig on December 1 and offer thanks to Ted Allegart and Roy Pomerantz, who are here tonight, for their help in looking after him, and to the very many of you for, quote, keeping in touch, as he liked to say. To Brian Chrisberg and Joe Cabrera for co-chairing tonight's dinner. Brian, you have been tireless, some say relentless, on my behalf. Joe, I got the best grades the year we roomed together, and I will never be able to explain that. To Jim McMiniman, Ken Catandela, and Robin Del Giorno for all you did to make tonight a success. To my partners, particularly Dave Sawyer, who brought me to Sidley and who founded and drives our practice, as well as Bill Kerr and Jock McKinnon, who have worked so hard to build and lead our global group. More than 80 of my colleagues traveled from near and far to support this dinner. Your devotion to clients and, importantly, to one another makes our firm an exceptional place in so many ways. To my father, who is here, and my mother, whom we miss. It was a strain on my parents to be able to afford the costs of my education that were not covered by financial aid or the jobs I had during the school years and summers. I will always remember and forever be grateful for the sacrifices made for me. To my brothers and sisters, all 5 of whom are wonderful and accomplished and are here tonight. And finally, to my wife Margie and our daughters Kaylee and Molly, whether I am home or on the road, each day begins and ends with thoughts of you. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Trine Raymond, and I am a senior at Columbia College. I'm a Women's and Gender Studies major from Queens, New York, and I'm honored to introduce George Yancopoulos. Your innovation as a scientist and entrepreneur has led to important medical advances that will help countless current and future patients. As scientific founder, and along with your longtime partner, Dr. Schleifer, you have boldly built Regeneron Pharmaceuticals to be one of the world's leading biotech companies of groundbreaking drugs and technologies from the ground up since 1989. Among your many scientific accomplishments are 3 FDA-approved drugs you both invented and developed, with scientific discoveries extending to new and novel approaches for treating disease. In collaboration with your team, you hold nearly 100 patents, several of which are in advanced human trials and would aid in combating such medical issues as inflammatory arthritis, allergic asthma, atopic dermatitis, and high cholesterol. In addition, you have authored more than 350 scientific manuscripts and published extensively, making you the 11th most frequently cited scientist worldwide in the 1990s. You are a member of the National Academy of Sciences and the American Academy of Sciences. A first-generation American, a native New Yorker, and valedictorian from Bronx Science, At Columbia College, you were honored as valedictorian and top scholar athlete for 2 consecutive years. You earned a Ph.D. and an M.D. at the College of Physicians and Surgeons, specializing in molecular immunology with Dr. Fred Alt. Devoted to Columbia, an adjunct full professor, you are a recipient of the Stevens Triennial Prize for Research and the University Medal of Excellence for Distinguished Achievement. Your dedication is further reflected in your recent commitment to campus revitalization, specifically supporting the College of Physicians and Surgeons' new medical and graduate education building. In recognition of your outstanding professional success and countless contributions to medical science, Columbia is honored to present you with the 2013 John Jay Award for Distinguished Professional Achievement.
Well, it's also very humbling and quite an honor to be here, even though, unlike Katori, it didn't take me less than 10 years to get a John Jay. It took me a little longer. But I can't help but be struck by the symmetry for me. I was actually privileged to be a John Jay Scholar. I was like all of the students that you heard about today. And it was incredible to have both that support, but more importantly, the examples that you could interact with, to see that people could make differences in the world and change the world. And having that sort of exposure can make you believe a little bit more that maybe you can do it too. In terms of my personal story, I'm also struck, and it couldn't have been pure coincidence, that you just heard Tareem is a John Jay Scholar from Queens, New York. I looked her up. She's quite amazing. She also has strong immigrant roots like me. And it just shows that Columbia is still providing that path of opportunity for city kids who are looking to try to do something incredible with their lives. And I'll be looking forward to see what all these John Jay Scholars end up doing as the years go by. In terms of my remarks, I don't want to get accused of plagiarizing Tom's speech, though I have to say, Italian family, Greek family, a lot of similarities. My father heard a line when he was fighting in the war, which was una faccia, una razza, which is Italian for same face, same race. So the story I think you're going to hear is actually quite similar. Like everybody else said, when you get an award like this, it's really a recognition of everybody that's been involved with you in any way in terms of providing an example or inspiration or teaching us or helping us along the way. And like for many of the other speakers, my thanks have to start with my very large family, many of whom are here today, including my cousins who grew up with me like sisters, my sister, who's also a Columbia kid, got a Ph.D. in theoretical astrophysics here at Columbia. It's a little peculiar about my development. I don't know if it influenced me in any way, but my best friend from second grade is also a physicist. He's here. He's a professor of physics here at Columbia, Timothy Halpin Healy. But I have to spend some time talking about my parents, who were the perfect combination for me. I'm lucky to have my mom here tonight. She was the paradigm of unconditional love and support, while my dad, who we lost recently, epitomized tough love. He was always pushing me and never letting me think that enough was enough. And I recently heard a line, and I can't remember who to credit, but that children are sometimes their father's constructions. And that's definitely true in my case. As with many of his generation in Europe during World War II, my father never got the chance to finish his education, going into the army at an early age, and later leaving war-torn Greece in the 50s to seek a better life in America. And as a struggling immigrant, he was constantly pushing the idea that America was the land of the opportunity, and that education was the means to deliver on that opportunity. But he also told me that education could do a lot more. It could change the world. And he gave me a very personal example of my own grandfather, who was technically born a Turkish slave in the late 1800s, but miraculously escaped and received an education in Vienna, Austria, and then returned to his homeland and changed it by building the first electrical power plants in Greece and making a fortune, which he then lost when the Nazis invaded. But anyway, that's how we wound up in America. And my dad loved telling me stories of all of his heroes. We all learned about them in our Columbia educations, but I had a head start. He told me about Odysseus and Achilles and Socrates and my own grandfather, and told me that if I pushed myself enough, and if I pushed the education, maybe I could make a difference in the world too. So when I came to him one day when I was in high school in 1975, and I told him that I knew what I wanted to be, Katori, when I was in high school. I wanted to be a scientist. He didn't really know what that meant. All he knew is that he was disappointed. Because he didn't think that that was a big enough dream. He didn't read the English newspapers, but he read the Greek papers. And a couple days later, he found an article from the Greek paper which he cut out and he gave to me. And he said, well, if I had to be a scientist, at least I should be like the first generation Greek-American scientist in that article that he gave me, who was a graduate of Columbia Medical School. And that person is here with us tonight. His name is not, I don't know how it was pronounced before, it's Roy Vagelis. Pindaros Roy Vagelis. For those of you who don't know it, he was the first major academic scientist to leave academia after it had been a great success to go to industry. And he went to Merck, where he changed the entire industry and the world. He led the development of some of the most important drug classes in history, such as the statins, that I'm sure many of us are on, and which have probably saved more lives than almost any other drug class. And he led Merck to the point that it was the most admired company in the world. So just like that, my dad, without an education, took my interest, and he gave me a dream, and he gave me the perfect role model. Now, about 10 years later, after I got my M.D. and my Ph.D. from Columbia, my dad kept pushing me to do something like Roy had done, to try to use science in a bigger way than he thought I might otherwise. And it was only because of my dad that I listened to a phone call I got when I was otherwise on my way to happily pursuing an academic career as a professor at Columbia. I got a call from a guy who's also here tonight, Len Schleifer, who I hadn't heard of, probably because he didn't apply to Columbia, because he didn't think he could get in. He had to go to Cornell. And he was trying to start a biotech company, and he was looking for someone with my specific skills to join him. Len was also, though he wasn't from Columbia, he was also from Queens. He also an MD, PhD. But I would never have listened to Len if I hadn't been primed by my dad. From that first phone call and the first meeting, I believed in this guy. and that he had noble and ethical intentions, and that I could work with him. But this was in the very early days of this industry we now call biotech, and leaving what was then considered a very secure academic future with NIH funding. That's a joke. To start up a biotech company, back then it was the biotech company that was considered very risky, and hardly anybody thought it was a very good idea. So what did I do? I was 28 years old. I had lived the first 15 years of my adult life at Columbia. I didn't know hardly anything else. And I was having dinner with Len Schleifer, where I was supposed to tell him whether I was going to join him or not in this risky venture. So believe it or not, I invited my dad to the dinner. I had him meet Len. And it was only after my dad told me that he believed in this guy in this dream that I agreed to join up with Len. As you heard a little bit from Tareem, the last 25 years or so with Len have been an amazing adventure, and I hope we continue to build Regeneron into the type of company that Merck was at its peak, the most admired company in the world. To do that, we're working with an incredible team of people. Some of them are here today. I cannot possibly mention all of them. But the most important thing that we've been trying to do in our business is to keep the patients and their unmet medical needs first. And we believe if we can help them, we can help build ourselves a great company as well. And one line that I will plagiarize, it was actually one of the first lines that I heard from Len when he was trying to convince me to join him in terms of what the goal of our company would be. It would be to do well by doing good. So to close that story a little bit, and with the details I can't provide at this time, a few years after we started Regeneron, we convinced the great Roy Vagelos to join us as our chairman, in a strange way, making my dad's vision complete. So I'm very lucky to have Roy and Len in my life, and lucky to have both of them, as well as their beautiful wives, Diana and Harriet, here tonight. So I'm getting close to the end of what I wanted to say. I definitely want to quickly mention my own 4 children, who I'm lucky to have here tonight. Urania, who I hope will be class of 2016. Damus, Luca, Achilles, and Demetra. And I have to note that they serve as my inspiration every single day. I know that they have the world's potential and possibilities in front of them, and I try to do for them exactly what my parents did for me. So finally, back to Columbia. As I've already told you, I lived the first 15 years of my adult life here at Columbia, and it provided everything that I could have hoped for. I just wanted to highlight that, against a lot of people's advice, I actually turned down full scholarships to Harvard and Yale, twice each. Because I wanted to go to Columbia, and because I thought it could provide me everything that I needed, and right here in the greatest city in the world. And that absolutely turned out to be the case. Columbia gave me the role models, the mentors, in the classroom and in the lab, and along with a lot of great experiences outside the classroom and the lab. And I want to just end by highlighting one of these great experiences. You've already heard a lot about crew tonight. I'm wearing my crossed oars like Dean Teeney, thanks to Dave Filosa, who's somewhere out there. But for any of you who rowed, you know that more than anything, rowing crew dominated my 4 years at Columbia. It probably shaped me as much as anything else. I still remember my freshman coach, George Frymark, telling us, if you can survive rowing for 4 years at Columbia, you can survive anything in life. And I think he was more right than he could ever have known. I made some great friends rowing, some of whom are here tonight, and I learned more than anything that life, at least for me, requires painfully hard commitment over very long periods of time to achieve any measure of success. and that nothing could be more important than making a team of people work together and sacrifice for a common goal. And if it hadn't been for those 4 years of rowing, I'm not sure I really would have been ready for the challenges of life. So I could go on, but I just want to thank everybody at Columbia and everyone here tonight for a wonderful night and a wonderful life. Thank you.
Well, not to be outdone by George, I also happen to have the crossed oars. Thank you, George, and a heartfelt congratulations once again to this evening's honorees. And as was mentioned several times earlier tonight, please remember that all of us at Columbia are incredibly proud of your many achievements and accomplishments. I think we can also take particular pride in knowing that the money raised tonight will benefit our Columbia College students in so many important and essential ways. Let us now close this evening's program with a beloved Columbia College tradition. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the Cliffhangers, who will lead us in Roar Lion Roar, and then Sans Souci.
Please rise and join us.
When the bold teams of old deeds of fame made their name here at Old Columbia. Nowadays we can praise fighting teams again. Hear the lion roar his pride, while the men of Morningside follow the blue and white to victory. Roar, lion roar, and wake the echoes of the Hudson Valley. Fight on to victory evermore, while the sons of Knickerbocker rally round Columbia, Columbia, shouting her name forever. Roar, from alma mater on the Hudson shore. Roar. What if tomorrow brings sorrow or anything other than joy?
What if to be wintry chill, rainstorm or summer's thrill?
Tomorrow's the future, still this is today. Tomorrow's the future, still this is today. One last toast ere we part, written on every heart, this motto stay.
Long may Columbia stand honored throughout the land.
Our alma mater, grand now and forever. Our alma mater, grand now and forever.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much and have a fantastic evening.